Well, life along Maine's northern border includes daily connections with Canada for family events and business. But new tariff threats from the Trump administration, well, they have some worried about the future.
And with fewer Canadians crossing over, local businesses are feeling the impact. The I-Team's Dan Lampariello is joining us live after a trip to the St. John Valley to see what is at stake. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, guys. Always good to be with you.
Yeah, so tell us more about the trip. You just traveled to Maine's northern border. That's now connected to Madawaska, and from there to Edmundston, New Brunswick.
Yeah.
This was quite a journey.
It's so intertwined. All of these, Maine has, probably a dozen border towns, and Madawaska is not one of the largest. I mean, I think Holton is probably the biggest in our area, but Madawaska is very unique because they're so intertwined with the New Brunswick folks who are in Edmundston that they have family over there. Many of the people who live up there are dual citizens, so they're going over multiple times a day, multiple times a week, not only to buy goods, but to see family, go to events. It is the way of life up there really is intertwined with our Canadian neighbors on the other side.
Yeah, and it's with the whole tariff thing, it has become almost like a civil war. Yeah. When you saw the hockey team and they had the hockey tournament, they're booing the national anthem. Yeah. And it's come to that now. And I mean, are they feeling it out there too?
There's a lot of tension with it. And what we found up there was a lot of people are reluctant to talk about it because, restaurants on the Maine side of the border rely on Canadian customers who are friends and family to come over and patronize their businesses and vice versa. Edmundston is much larger than Madawaska, so a lot of the big box stores over there with the exchange rate right now has a lot of Americans going over there to get better deals and such. But we spoke to a flower shop owner who has owned their business for 3 years here. He's starting to be impacted by some of the tariffs. They've had to, some of their vendors have gone up about 20%, which they're having to, tack on to some of their prices. And he just talked about the reluctancy from some people and why they don't want to talk to us. Luckily, he gave us his perspective, but I want you to hear from him here because it really sums up that this is such a contentious issue that is really pitting neighbors against neighbors.
It's a scary thing to bring up, but I'm starting to, you can see on the Canadian side, they're really starting to be frustrated with us, and you can hear some of that from them. Again, we're just trying to play the middle, and we're going to do the best we can.
So now let's take a look at some of the data. How are the number of border crossings comparing to years past?
So across the country, we got data yesterday from Customs and Border Patrol, 500,000 fewer Canadian to American crossovers across the country compared to the same month last year. In Madawaska, that's equal to 300 fewer cars a day. That's a lot for a very small town like Madawaska. And when we spoke to the town manager down there, he told us that their gas stations, which Canadians usually come over here to buy gas because it is so much cheaper in the States, they're seeing a 50% reduction right now in sales. And a lot of that is because the Canadian government is urging people to kind of boycott the U.S. in a way. They're saying buy local, even if it costs a little bit more, help our local economy while we figure this whole border mess out. And really, it's all going to really depend on what happens in April if the Trump administration doubles down and ends up putting more tariffs onto Canada, what that could mean. For a small town like that.
And we've even had stories that some of these Canadian stores have been taking American items off their shelves.
New Brunswick
not just telling people not to do it, but just taking it off their shelves and not selling it.
Liquor has been the big thing. They've taken all of that, so you won't see Jack Daniels or anything in Canadian liquor stores right now. It's more of a symbolic gesture. They've already bought the alcohol. Yeah. It's really not helping their government in any way. It's just saying, hey, don't support American. But one of the bigger things that they've done is canceled contracts with U.S. companies, and that is having an impact on a lot of people. Madawaska is connected to New Brunswick with their paper mill as well. That employs hundreds of people on both sides. They have a pulp manufacturing on the Edmundston side that connects a pipeline directly to the manufacturing side on the Madawaska side. And that is all up in the air right now. It's leading to a lot of uncertainty. And when we spoke to the town manager, he kind of sums it up well here about how they just don't know what's really going on, and it's all going to depend on what happens April 2nd.
We'll adapt to that at the end of the day, but hopefully it won't be as hurtful as perhaps some of us think. I think most folks are very tentative. They're not sure about what
Well, can you tell us what's next for your coverage? And we understand you have another story coming out on Monday.
We do, yeah. We were up there for 2.5 days. We traveled over 900 miles, spoke with a lot of stakeholders. But the biggest part was we ended up talking with the New Brunswick government because we wanted to find out more about if the Trump administration doubles down on these tariffs, which right now it's looking like they will. How will the Canadian government retaliate, especially to our state, which has an economy that is so intertwined with New Brunswick? Northern Maine gets most of their electricity from New Brunswick. We get lumber products. We get petroleum products. Our lobster industry is very intertwined because processing is in New Brunswick while we catch stuff over here. So that's going to be the big focus of Monday's story. How could they retaliate? And how could the current retaliations, like the contracts being canceled, impact Maine businesses?
And not just products, people. They're telling your people not to go on vacation. I mean, if you go to Old Orchard Beach, guess what? Right next to the American flag, they have a Canadian flag. And almost like in the summer, OOB is part of Canada.
It is.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm just so happy you made the trip because it is, as a reporter, it's so different being there in person and speaking with these business owners and the town manager and feeling really the impact as well.
Exactly. I mean, it's not technically our market up there,
Right.
but it is impacting our entire state. And it's why we felt it was important to travel up there, talk with the people firsthand, and kind of get answers for people as well. How is the anxiety impacting them? And how could the New Brunswick government respond? We have some really good questions to them because they have a special relationship with our state especially. So we wanted to really find out, are they prepared to hurt both of our economies if this continues?
Yeah, I know you probably heard this from some citizens up there, but I have some friends that are in Canada, and they always say, they go, this is not something between us. This is the government. So we like Americans, we just don't like the American government. That's where we're butting heads.
Yeah, it's really, the one word that I kept hearing from people is like, this isn't just an economic issue, this isn't just a geographical issue or a border issue, it's a personal issue for a lot of people. Wow. I think right now you're just seeing a tension between family members who maybe on the Canadian side and on the other side, because Madawaska, the Aroostook County region, is a conservative area of our state. It was about a 50-50 split in the 2024 presidential election in Madawaska, but now you're just seeing people kind of butting heads, if you will. So they're hoping cooler heads prevail, and that's what we're going to really focus on Monday, is what could happen and what the future could look like.
So much uncertainty.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah, hopefully this will all work out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, we'll be
anxiety for
tuning
a lot
in.
of people.
Yeah. All right, Dan, thanks so much.